Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here, wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Well, about a week and a half ago, I conducted the review or just a quick discussion on what Hawkeye fans could expect with the Iowa Hawkeye official visit weekend that took place this past weekend. I believe it would be the 24th and the 25th, maybe 23rd, 24th, 20. I don't know exactly how many days it is, but it was scheduled for June 23rd. And a couple of days later, a couple of days removed, rather, and there has already been tremendous movement for the Iowa Hawkeyes recruiting class. I believe it would be their 2024 recruiting class. So we're going to dive into it really quickly. I'll be providing you guys with an update on that and what you guys can expect here moving forward with some of the recruits who visited Iowa, who they're still in on, and what you guys can expect with their commitment or lack thereof. So we will dive into that. Let me share my screen real quick here. So here we go. Just to start off with, we have the state of Iowa here. This is On3. It's, by the way, guys, it's not that I necessarily like On3 better than the other recruiting websites, but one thing that On3 does that the other recruiting websites do not is On3 for each recruiting profile will show all of the recruiting profiles, the main ones, ESPN, Rivals, 247 Sports, On3 for that given recruit. So it's just easy to pull up their recruiting profile on On3 and show you guys. According to On3, Iowa has 3 of the top 5 commitments in the state of Iowa. That's been the case for a while now. I don't think Iowa will land Grant Brix. I was not very high on their chances of landing him pretty much from the get-go. He said early on that he did not grow up an Iowa Hawkeye fan. I don't even believe that he's from the state of Iowa. So it is what it is. It would have been nice to land him. But I'm just hoping he just doesn't go to Nebraska. If he doesn't choose Iowa, hopefully he just doesn't choose another Big Ten program. There are some in-state players that On3 is a little bit higher on than all the other recruiting services, and that would be the tight ends Jacob Simpson and Keaton Roskop. And they are considerably higher on Keaton Roskop than they are on all the other recruiting sites. Jacob Simpson, is a fairly consistent high 3-star. You guys can see 87, 77, 5.6. Doesn't matter, though. The Iowa Hawkeyes have their 2 tight end commits, and this last one was a big deal, which I will touch on here in a moment. Cam Buffington, Cody Fox. Iowa today landed Reese Vander Zee, and this is a big deal for a variety of reasons. Number one, he's an in-state wide receiver. Number two, it's the wide receiver position. And I have said this many times, and I will continue to say it. A lot of Iowa fans believe that Iowa does not recruit the wide receiver position well. And that is simply not true. The reality with that is Kelton Copeland has absolutely outkicked his coverage. Iowa should not have, if you look at the stats of their offense and how they've done over the last couple of years, they should not have landed some of the wide receiver prospects that they have landed. But if you look at the previous guys that they have landed, it's pretty good. I mean, Keegan Johnson, Arlen Bruce were 4-star guys. They're no longer with Iowa, but Iowa received their commitments all the same. Caleb Brown transferred from Ohio State to Iowa. He was a former high 4-star recruit out of the state of Illinois, committed to Ohio State. Brody Brecht, high 3-star player. Jacob Bostic, high 3-star player. I mean, we're talking multiple guys. Alex Mata, 4-star player by most of the high 3-star, low 4-star player by many of the recruiting services. So it is simply just it's simply a fallacy that Iowa does not recruit the wide receiver position well. Now, with that being said, this last year was absolutely pathetic, to say the least. The offensive performance, Iowa lost Brody Brecht, who they received the commitment. They lost Keegan Johnson. They lost Arlen Bruce. So they needed to restore the cupboard. But specifically, they needed to restore the cupboard at the X receiver now that Brody Brecht was gone. And he did seem promising at times, but he decided to focus specifically on baseball. So Iowa needed to go out. It was pivotal for Iowa to go out and land a 6'3", 6'3" to 6'5" X receiver that they could use in the red zone. They have Jacob Bostic still. We'll see how he turns out. And they, quite frankly, they have a lot of Z and Y receivers, Nico Reganey, Caleb Brown. It's hard to remember all the names. Deontay Vines. They have Alex Mata now. I mean, they have a lot of smaller, quicker, speedster type wide receivers, but it was pivotal for them to go out and get a big bodied wide receiver. They also beat out Iowa State for Reese Vanderzee's commitment. Last year, Iowa was in on Kai Black, who was a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver out of Urbandale. They didn't get his commitment. So it was pivotal for them to get this in-state, big wide receiver. They needed to restore the cupboard. For all of those reasons, this was a big deal. I think that this commitment, even though he's not a 4-star guy or anything like that, he's pretty consistently a high 3-star recruit. We'll go ahead and click on his profile here. If you look at all the reasons that I said above, this was absolutely paramount for Iowa to secure his commitment, and they did. So that's number one, that he was one of the commits out of the official visit weekend to choose the Iowa Hawkeyes. I will pull up the official a list of visitors here in a moment. But before they landed Reese Vanderzee, Iowa received a official visit. One of the individuals, he was a late addition, was Graham Eben. And he actually committed to the Iowa Hawkeyes before Reese Vanderzee did. Now, Iowa also has a commitment, or he's already on campus from the 2023 recruiting class in Zach Lutmer, who also went to this school. It's just absolutely, this is just a side note. It's absolutely wild how a school out of the state of Iowa, who is classified as a Class 2A high school, has 3 Division I athletes. Never mind that. 3 football Division I. Never mind that. 3 Big Ten caliber Division I athletes at that 2A school. It just goes to show that if your town or city has the proper system in place, the training, the development, for some of these kids growing up to really put the work in, anything is possible. Now, with regards to Graham Eben, who committed to Iowa slightly before Reese Vanderzee did, and they, of course, like I said, Zach Lutmer, who's going to be a safety for the Iowa Hawkeyes, also committed to Iowa last recruiting class. I cannot get clarification on whether Iowa offered Graham Eben a full-blown scholarship. If you read if you read some of the articles regarding Graham Eben's commitment, there's really no other way to take it other than he was offered, because every single article says that he was the 14th commitment in the Iowa 2024 recruiting class. And usually walk-ons are not considered, the 10th or the 11th or any number of commitments from actual offered recruits. The 24/7 Sports profile has a walk-on guy next to his recruiting profile. So my guess is that he accepted a preferred walk-on, maybe a gray shirt. And the reason why I believe that, besides the fact that we don't see an actual offer on any of the recruiting sites is that Iowa, according to these articles, Iowa sees him either at DB, but primarily at linebacker. They want to add some weight on him and put him at linebacker. He's about 6'1", 6'2", which is decent size for a linebacker. And Iowa already has 3 commitments at that position in Cam Buffington, Preston Reese, and Derek Weiskopf. So their cupboard is full, and Iowa took a few linebacker commits in the previous class as well. So I'm pretty sure that this is a walk-on commitment, but nonetheless, that is the progression of how it went. He committed, and then Reese Vanderzee did. Let's go ahead and click the official visit list here, so you guys can see all the players who visited this past weekend. I'm really liking this class, guys. Just as we're kind of I'm scrolling through here, I really like this class. And one thing that has become apparent in Iowa's recruiting strategy, is over the past, I would say, 3 recruiting cycles, compared to even more previous recruiting cycles, is Iowa has started to do 2 things. Number one, they have, and they've kind of always done this, but they've done it even more so now. Iowa has made it a point to recruit or evaluate, scout, and recruit guys that don't walk-ons, basically. And you will be hard-pressed to find a better program when it comes to walk-ons than the University of Iowa. Now, you may say, well, big deal, walk-ons don't make a program. Fair enough. But I think it does matter, because having good practice players, having a well-rounded roster is a big deal. And Iowa has really made an effort, a concerted effort, to implement that in the last couple of years, of having not only a really good offered recruiting class, but a preferred walk-on class as well. They have had some of the best walk-on classes in the country the last couple of go-rounds. The second thing that Iowa has done, and this is the biggest thing I would say, is Iowa, previously, Iowa would use a lot of their recruiting resources, time, money, energy, and other things to offer and really go after, about 10 really highly rated guys. And they'd be lucky if they landed 1, especially if those guys were not in the state of Iowa. But recently, what they have done, the transition that they have made, is instead of doing that, they have decided to be more meticulous with it and go after guys that they genuinely believe that they have a chance of landing. And as a whole, Iowa would rather go after a bunch of solid guys rather than putting a bunch of resources into landing 1, maybe 2 really solid guys, and the rest, guys that they will develop. And it's, they're not super solid or anything. But now their class as a whole is just really solid. A bunch of high 3 stars, maybe 1 or 2 low 4 stars. And if they have a guy in the state of Iowa, like a Xavier Wanpa or a Caden Proctor, they'll go ahead with that. But other than that, they're going to go after guys that they genuinely believe that they have a shot at landing. Like I said, just solid guys, high 3 stars, low 4 stars, that they believe still have high upside. So as you guys can see here, some of the guys still left on the board are Chima Chineke. Before the official visit weekend, I really thought that it was a long shot for Iowa landing him. But right now, he's favored to go with Iowa. And if you look at some of his responses to his official visit weekend, they are very, very positive. Iowa, in my eyes, is absolutely the leader to land his commitment. And it would be a big deal. This would be an excellent win for Iowa. I mean, this guy has a great frame, excellent size. He's a classic under the radar guy that Iowa does their due diligence. He ends up being a high 3-star recruit. He has a pretty solid offer list. I would say Iowa's main contender for him would be Texas Tech. But but right now I would say Iowa is definitely the favorite to land him. The next guy, Joseph Anderson, edge out of Missouri, a very similar guy to Chima Chineke. By the way, guys, when it comes to the defensive line, Iowa in recent years will every now and again, recruit a pure defensive tackle. But by and large, they recruit guys who can play all the positions on the defensive line. They recruit versatile guys across the defensive line that they can get in their weight room and decide whether they're going to be more of an inside guy or more of an outside guy as they develop, which I like that approach better myself. So Joseph Anderson, I saw after the official visit weekend, even leading up to it, Nebraska was heavily favored for his commitment. And even after the official visit weekend on 247 Sports, a crystal ball prediction was put in for Nebraska to land his commitment. But that, according to On3, and that has changed as recently as today, Iowa is the favorite. And there have been a few people who have put their crystal balls in favor of Iowa. With pretty high confidence meters. I mean, 60 is not bad, 70 is pretty high, and these are in 75, it looks like. These two guys are Nebraska insiders. So I think Iowa is now the favorite to land his commitment. I do. By the way, Iowa already has, I believe, 2 defensive line commitments. I think they will take as many as 5, but it's likely they're okay with just the 4 defensive linemen. If they get these 2 guys, Iowa will be more than thrilled to just have those 4 as their guys, but they may go to 5. Another guy is Xavier Lucas, out of Florida, safety. We haven't heard too much about him. I really don't have a read on his recruitment. I haven't seen hardly anything when it comes to him. So it's really in the air. It looks like Iowa has a chance of landing him. And Iowa probably will take as many as 4 defensive backs if they feel strongly enough about them, definitely 3. And that includes corners. So I really can't give you guys a gauge on that. Scrolling down here, one of the major commitments that Iowa received was definitely from Gavin Hoffman. About 2 weeks ago, I would say Missouri was the favorite to land his commitment. And Iowa was actually positioned better for Illinois tight end Eric Cram, I believe. 4-star tight end. Iowa was positioned really well. They were after his teammate KJ Parker as well, and he ended up committing to Texas A&M, not even visiting the Hawkeyes. Fast forward, Michael Burt, after being favored to commit to Nebraska, spurns them, goes to the Iowa Hawkeyes, big recruiting win. And coming out of this weekend, Gavin Hoffman was the only other tight end on the board, 40-inch vertical leap, 40.5-inch vertical leap, 4.5 40, just an excellent prospect, 6'5", 195, high 3-star prospect, and they land his commitment. Very, very, very good get for the Iowa Hawkeyes there. KJ Parker, absolutely favored to choose the Hawkeyes. If they land him, I think Iowa's wide receiver class will be in a really, really good position with him and Reese Vanderzee. Their primary competition is Cincinnati, which is the same as it was last time. So, for me, Iowa's definitely the leader for his commitment. And Iowa already has a few crystal balls when it comes from 247 Sports when it comes to his commitment. Jalen Watson, who is the nephew of Fred Russell, I believe, is definitely favored to go to Iowa. You guys can see the confidence meter here by these guys is pretty high to land his commitment. He has a date set. I don't think he will commit in the next couple days. He has a commitment date set for July 8th. So be ready for that. Another big get under the radar, Davon Kennedy. He was the first guy to commit to the Hawkeyes out of the official visit weekend. Under the radar guy, has really developed in the past year. Son of Penn State NFL guy, great lineage, great get for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And the last guy, Rashad Godfrey, Iowa's definitely favored to land his commitment as well. So there you guys have it. Iowa will also receive an official visit from Miami speedster Jaquan Reed. I think Iowa will take as many as 4 wide receivers in this class. Definitely 3. I'm fairly certain that that's what they're looking for is about 3 wide receivers. So this class is shaping up really nice, guys. Really, really nice. I think if everything holds serve and Iowa continues on this trajectory, I think that this class will finish in the top 35. It may even finish in the top 30, depending on how some of the guys' recruiting rankings progress. And there are several guys who I could see them turning into a 4-star prospect here in the future. Before I wrap this up, I just want to show you guys the commitment list according to 247 Sports. By the way, Steve Wiltfong just put a crystal ball in, national recruiting analyst, just put a crystal ball in for Joseph Anderson. Again, that would be a huge get if the Hawkeyes can land him. So a very successful weekend. I would say that this was an even more successful official visit weekend compared to last year. Last year it was a success as a whole. The official visit weekend, they landed Caden Proctor. They didn't end up landing him, but overall, by and large, it was a success. But this, if everything holds serve, this will be one of the best closes that Iowa has had for their official visit weekends in recent memory. So they have Iowa as 30, which that will change as some of these guys' rankings come in. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to provide you guys with an update on what's going on with the Iowa Hawkeyes after their official visit weekend. I mean, literally, as I end this video, things could change in the next couple minutes. So stay on the lookout. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. I want to get to 2,000 subs by the time the next football season starts. If you guys want to donate to the channel, just go ahead and donate through the Cash App or the PayPal app. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow in facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Love you guys. See you Hawk fans next time. Bye. Go Hawks.